Okay, today is April 20, 11:40 a.m. And if you remember from yesterday, we had a trend that was connected resistance lines that were here, and we were waiting to see the result of this rate that was trying to cross the pivot. Now what has happened is the rate has projected itself through that point and is breaking all the retracement lines and is now broken 61.8%. So in my opinion, if this 61.8 is not a spike, it's not some rapid spike, that this actually was not a downtrend. This was a very, very small counter trend, and it's going to continue upward. Now, one thing to look at about this is the upward trend did take a long time to make, and considering that the traders might have a opinion that they might be thinking that was too much time for them to take a very fast down the downward direction, to start a new downward direction. So this was just a very short, a very small counter trend. But as you can see, that the rate was passed in a very changed in a very short amount of time, a lot of the rate. But considering that the 61.8% is now broke, we will have to determine how much time it will be in that situation. It will be in that, and if it is for a long time, then we will consider this a counter trend and a continuing in the uptrend. So right now we have it at the R1. So what we would do is considering the last rule that we used, we take the high at the resistance line. So here's this line. There's a high, there's no resistance line around it. Here's a high, no resistance line around it. So last one, this resistance line, and this resistance line do what? Not this one, this one. Okay, this is the one that's being used now. So right now, what's happening is the rate will determine if it will use this line as a resistance or support. Okay, so what's going to happen is right now the rate is determining if it's going to continue to sit on this line and use it to continue upward, or if it's going to use this line as a ceiling and show us that it is not able to break it. Now, what would I do at this time? Well, if we look at the rate, we'll see. Well, the first thing that's interesting to me is that it is higher than the 61.8% retracement. Okay, to me that's saying that it's going to break. It was thinking, it's thinking the other direction. It's thinking going up. But actually, what is happening is that the rate is not climbing very fast higher than this angular resistance line. Okay, this angular trend. It's not climbing. It's not climbing higher than. In fact, as you see right now, it's sitting under it. It's lower. Okay, it's under it, and it's hanging there under it. So what's happening is that the collective opinion, the collective thinking, is that there's too much pressure. There's just too much. There's too much stress to continue upward. Okay, so either it's resting, but it's higher than the 61.8. So either it's resting and it's preparing, it's saving energy to break this line, this angular line, or it simply can't do it and it's going to go lower than the 61.8%. So if we see this, if we see the rate going downward, and in fact we even have a time projection for this. You see this trend line, okay, is diagonal, which means that as time passes, it must go lower. Okay, it must be used as a support or resistance, a diagonal support resistance. Then we have the 61.8%, which is very important. It's a very important number. So as time passes, and this is 24 hours, it will do something with this line. and as a side effect, okay, as a side note, we'll also have to do something to 61.8%, because if you draw an extension from the 61.8, draw a line from the 61.8, you'll see that you have this little triangle, and so now it has this, it has a choice to go under this line or to go over it. That's the benefit of the horizontal. Okay, that will show you if it's really going to go up or not. If it's going to ride the diagonal lower, okay, then you'll see the price, in my opinion. If it's going lower, okay, it'll be at this time, this intersection. It'll be at this time starting to show lower. It'll go lower than this point, and then it will be lower, in fact, than this. It should be. But if it is going higher, it'll do it at this time. It will, okay, it will no later than do it at this time, which is actually 24 GMT, okay, which is the end of this 24 GMT. And it will continue higher than this. It could be up here, but the point is that it's higher or lower than this at this time. So, is that beneficial to us? Yeah, because we entered this area, at this break. So that is higher. That's right around here. So we have this much area to protect us from loss. Now, actually, I just use this. I use this as a macro, structure. I use it to define the macro, the macro structure, but I don't use it to trade, because a trend, I think, is the way I'm using it here is using lagging properties of the indicators, using pivots which are lagging. So to get an actual idea of what's happening, you go to the on the inner scale, the inner shape, the inner side, use acceleration. Okay, you use acceleration, and I'm developing something called the multi-acceleration frame, which is going to use different factors for acceleration. Could use different frames, or just different calculations for acceleration. But at this time, the acceleration frames are indicating that this time, just 424, there was an acceleration upward, and right now it's at 439, which is represents 150 points profit from yesterday. Now, if we were at 424 on this trend geometry, you would see that 424 is here. Okay, 424 is here, which is a lot earlier than we had even tried to start determining if there was a break of trend, because this was before the pivot line. This was around the 23.6, which is considered a safe area. And I always say, if it goes higher than 23.6, if you're in a strong downtrend, it never will go higher than 23.6. And second less likely to go to 38.2, and then really not likely to go to 60%. If it goes past 60, then you're looking at an upward trend. But if you are looking at the trend geometry, then you're really starting to get worried after it breaks the 61 point retracement. Isn't that right? Well, at the 61% retracement, it's already 4392. It's already 4392. But if you were using acceleration, you were getting worried when you saw the indication that when the multi-acceleration frames were starting to show an upside. Okay, we're starting to show upward, and that was 424. Okay, when they determined it an upward. So as you can see, the value of acceleration is much more than the value of trends and averages. So